Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live, and there's also a PayPal, Patreon, crypto and thanks button in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Now, we are joined by 10th Man, John, who's away from the keyboard at the moment, Neil, and a whole bunch of people in Discord, so welcome one and all.
Good morning, good morning.
Hey, good morning.
Good day.
G'day.
John is QE, Quantum Eraser.
It is. Before we get into any of the housekeeping or anything else, I'm going to do a quick plug. So I've pinned in the live stream chat a link to a fundraiser that I'm doing for Flatzoid. So I'm doing on his behalf because he's not able to do it for whatever reason in his region. So I'm doing it on his behalf. And yeah, so this is Flatzoid's streaming PC fundraiser. Now, if you're a current subscriber of Flatzoid, you'll know that he's moved on to bigger and better things in YouTube terms and started to do a more regular stream, but it's horrendous. The audio is horrible, and the way he's jerry-rigged something together so the audio isn't horrible, it leaves him really quiet. It's just generally very poor in terms of the standards. And as I don't know if you can read the blurb I've put down here, the general blurb I've put about the fundraiser is that leaves you in a bit of a catch-22. I know how difficult it can be to get the ball rolling when you start off on the journey that Flatzoid has, and given this is show 1700 and this channel has had 6,667,000 views, this is me paying it forward and saying I'd like to see Flatzoid succeed, and if he's got horrendous audio, he's not going to garner the audience that will support him to raise the money to buy a PC that's capable of making a decent stream. But I have got that audience thanks to all of everybody, my subscribers, my patrons, my members, who do support me enough for me to sustain myself doing this. Now, I don't know whether or not Flatzoid wants to sustain himself on YouTube, but what I do know is I like watching Flatzoid, and I didn't enjoy his audio, so I want to do something about that, and anybody who's a fan of Flatzoid can relate. I want to hear what he's got to say. He's great. So therefore, a modest fundraiser has been set up, and Anthony Riley and myself have gone through various different internet sites and secondhand forums and Facebook Marketplace to sort out various components here that we can hopefully get comparable to what is in South Africa, so that Flatzoid, with our help, can cobble together a secondhand PC that will be capable of streaming in a decent quality. It might not look nice, but it'll do the job that he needs it to do, rather than his jerry-rigged mic and phone combo. With him reading the chat and not able to do anything or share anything or have guests or basically do anything. And I know he's capable, so he needs a computer. That's all this basically boils down to. So shout out to Dan, first and foremost, who's, other than me, the first actual person to support the campaign. What I will say is, if you don't want to give him money, which is perfectly understandable, just hit the share button. So smash the share button and share the campaign. Typically, that's the most successful way of getting other people to actually support the campaign where you may not have the funds to do so, which is totally understandable. So yeah, smash the share button, or if indeed you did want to donate to this campaign to raise money to get Flatzoid streaming in a decent way, reduce the tip amount to 0. GoFundMe take an amount anyway, unless you especially want to give GoFundMe an extra tip. It's automatically set to something like 15%, so just slide the slider, enter the amount that you want to contribute to this Flatzoid GoFundMe streaming PC fundraiser. Great title, Nathan. I'll have to do better next time, but you get the general idea. So there we go. Hopefully we'll plug it throughout the show if there is people contributing. I should really... Oh, there is already. So Anthony Riley, who's one of the people helping me actually do this with their time rather than their money. That said, I've contributed, so why the hell shouldn't he? But yeah, between me and Anthony, we're going to figure out good quality, cheap components that you can cobble together in a market where it's really hard to get GPUs, for, amongst other things. And then hopefully in South Africa, like I say, he'll be able to do that. So thank you to Anonymous, I don't know who you are, and thank you to Anthony Riley for also supporting the campaign. There is a link in the live stream info box. we go. Done. Welcome, Chocolate.
Good morning, good morning.
Good morning, good morning. We're going to do a bit of housekeeping after that prolonged plug for a GoFundMe campaign I'm running on Flatzoid's behalf. Any evidence of a physical geometric sphere-edge horizon, formerly known as the curve of the Earth?
Real quick, how does this mic sound? Is this okay?
Sounds right. Yeah, sound fine.
Okay, cool. Thanks. And no. no Earth curvature, formerly known as geometric horizon, or the other way around.
Didn't you have a caller saying he can measure that invisible location the other day?
No, he said it was
How do you
refracted
measure it
and then
in-
left. Oh, you're talking to Chocolate, sorry.
No, I was talking to you. Didn't a caller come in here saying, no, it's there, it's invisible, but I measured to it, something to that effect?
Well, no, he said he can get a tangent point from a curve as opposed to a measurement of a flat baseline, which is what's actually used. And then he went to the definition that included a description of two circles with a tangent point meeting them both. Not that we've got two circles meeting one another, but nevertheless, it required a tangent in that description, where he's trying to weasel that you can acquire an elevation angle measurement from a curve baseline. Nevertheless, it included a tangent. So when we asked him, or when I asked him, where'd you get that tangent from? He said, well, from the horizon. It's like, well, you just spent a prolonged period. Anybody listening on the anti-flat earth side, that prolonged period's now in excess of 2 years, telling us how refracted it is. You know, bent line to the horizon, according to him. So they don't have a tangent point, according to them. That was his claim that failed, and then he left the moment that contradiction was highlighted. You don't have a tangent if it's all refracted, according to you. Any evidence of axial rotation of the Earth-space variety? Hey, Arwin.
Hello, hello.
Hello.
Axial rotation.
Of the Earth-based variety.
Well, it's maybe in the space-time bending situation, it is rotating. It's just that in the 3D reality, we wouldn't expect to see that.
Run that by me again.
Well, in pseudo-Riemannian force space, it is rotating. It's just that in the 3D world, we wouldn't expect to see any deviations. So it just seems stationary.
No. The claim's Coriolis deflection. If you're talking about pseudo-Riemannian force space-time bending, that has sod all to do with the claim that we will observe a Coriolis deflection in, for example, the stars, or Neil deGrasse Tyson saying it's in footballs, or various other idiots that say it's gyroscopes or pendulums. There's a claim that we'll see a not actual deflection at a rate of 15 degrees an hour as Earth turns beneath as a non-inertial turning reference frame. That's a claim that we will observe something occurring, not actual deflection at 15 degrees an hour. Now, if you're saying, no, we won't see it because pseudo-Riemannian force space-time, that's gravity in Einsteinian rhetoric, will cause Earth to be spinning but not noticeably spinning. That's what I got from what you said.
No. No, you don't straw man me now. Just kidding. But no, the thing is, I think that maybe the original claim of Earth spinning might have been slightly misunderstood. I think that it was actually spinning in pseudo-Riemannian force space, and that's why we see the stars rotating, but it isn't actually spinning in Euclidean space.
No. Euclidean space is just length, breadth, and depth. Now, the rotational value has nothing to do with the time aspect of length, breadth, depth, and pseudo-Riemannian force space-time, which bends in the description of gravity. But in your description, you did have Earth turning to cause the stars to drift. That's Earth turning beneath the stars to cause the stars to seem to drift in the globe-Earth rhetoric at 15 degrees an hour. That's still Earth turning under the stars. That's Coriolis effect, though. Sod all to do with force space, or Einsteinian pseudo-Riemannian force space-time bending. It's got nothing to do with it. It's Coriolis effect that they claim.
No, but it is spinning within pseudo-Riemannian force space.
That's lovely.
But that means that in the 3D reality, we don't expect to see the spin, just the stars rotating.
That is as a consequence of the claim that Earth is turning beneath the stars to induce a 15 degrees an hour drift of the stars. That's Earth turning beneath stuff. Neil deGrasse Tyson says it's Earth turning underneath footballs. The fundies say it's Earth turning underneath gyros and pendulums. Snipers are claimed to claim that it's turning under their bullets after they leave their guns. But that's Earth turning underneath. That's Coriolis deflection that we would have shortening flight times.
No, but they are actually right, but they are like failing to tell you that what their claim actually is within pseudo-Riemannian force space. They seem to overlook that part. So they make you believe that it's actually happening in Euclidean space, but it isn't. I think that's the misunderstanding from the start.
So there's no evidence for it, no measurements for it, nothing for it, just made up, but we're expected to believe it. Is that it?
No, there is a claim. It's just got nothing to do with pseudo-force space in this particular instance. It has everything to do with Coriolis deflection, a claim that Earth turns underneath things that aren't attached for us to see them drift at 15 degrees an hour. That would shorten flight times if we turned underneath planes to see them drift at 15 degrees an hour. It would mean helicopters would drift away at 15 degrees an hour from your position after they left the ground. Things we don't observe happening. But that's what's claimed to happen. It's claimed that you'll observe Coriolis deflection. For example, Neil deGrasse Tyson says Earth turns underneath the football to cause it to deflect through the goalposts. That's Earth turning under the football to observe Coriolis effect, exactly as the globe claims, not pseudo-force space-time bending and causing spin that we don't see in Euclidean 3 space. That's not what the globe claims.
Yeah, but
the globe does claim Coriolis.
Wrong. But that's the point. That's where he's wrong. So it is within Euclidean, within pseudo-Riemannian force space, it is actually doing that. And we could still see that on Earth. It's just that on Earth, it doesn't actually do that. It's just doing it in pseudo-Riemannian force space. And you can like accidentally reify the two mediums with each other and just think that it's actually happening in 3D reality.
They're
but it
wrong.
isn't.
The claim is it happens in our reality. A not actual deflection, also known as an apparent deflection. Apparent meaning you can see it happen. So there's an effect to observe. Not actual deflection at 15 degrees an hour because it's claimed Earth turns underneath the stars and bullets and footballs and pendulums and gyros. And aeroplanes. And it would shorten their flight times if it did. That's the claim. Coriolis effect. Plain and simple.
Okay, I tried to explain it, but it seems you just don't understand.
I do understand. I understand globe claims Coriolis effect, and if we're turning under planes to see them drift at 15 degrees an hour, or balls, or bullets, then hot air balloons drift away from your location at 15 degrees an hour. That's 1,000 miles an hour on the equator. That a hot air balloon would drift away from your location. Now, it's not really drifting, it's just going up. But according to the globe Earth claim, Earth turns underneath the hot air balloon after it leaves the ground, for you to see it seem to drift. Seem to take a curved path away from you. Not really, it's just going up and Earth's turning underneath it, according to the claim. A claim that we don't observe to happen.
Right.
Also, of course, as a logical consequence of that, if we were to supposedly get off this non-inertial spinning reference frame, the things that we're told to look at to prove that this non-inertial reference frame is spinning, the stars would stop. And what would happen? The ground would start moving. Neither of those two things happen, ever.
Right. Yeah. It happens in pseudo-Riemannian force space, all of it. They just
No, it doesn't.
neglected dimensions.
So that means no.
No, it doesn't. What Chocolate's just detailed...
They just never told you.
Okay, what Chocolate's just detailed is a roundabout that's got a ceiling that isn't spinning. And the ceiling has got little sticker stars stuck to it. So that as you rotate on the roundabout, you look up at the stars and see them seem to move. Now, they're not really moving, they're stuck to the ceiling. You on the roundabout beneath turn and see them seem to move. Now, that's the claim the globe makes. It's a claim of Coriolis deflection. It's a claim that comes with a 15 degrees an hour rate ascribed to that deflection that the globe claims to occur as we turn underneath on a spinning Earth. That's the claim. It's the claim thing that we're supposed to look at to prove we spin. Look at the stars. They're moving, not because they actually move, but because Earth is claimed to turn beneath them. Neil deGrasse Tyson says, look at the football. It drifted through the goalposts because after it left the ground, Earth turned underneath the football. The Sniper's Handbook says you've got to track your target because after the bullet leaves the barrel of the gun, the Earth will turn underneath the bullet, moving the target from the position you saw when you shot the bullet. Those are all claims that Earth turns underneath things that have left the ground. And if Earth turns underneath things that have left the ground, as it's claimed by the globe, then Earth turns underneath aeroplanes, shortening their westward flight time. For example, Charlotte, North Carolina to Los Angeles would only take an hour and a half because Earth is claimed to turn underneath it. So we can see the 15 degrees an hour deflection in the plane. We don't see it though, because Earth is not turning underneath anything ever. Therefore, the analogy that Chocolate gave with the stars seeming to move because we're on a roundabout beneath them, well, if that's analogous to Earth underneath the stars that are moving only because we turn beneath them, if you launch a drone and point it at the stars, the drone from your position holding the controls should whiz away from your position at 15 degrees an hour, and the stars in the frame of the shot that the camera has on the drone should stop. Neither happens because we're not turning beneath anything. Getting some broken. Shere Khan, you're breaking up. I'd love to hear what you've got to say, but yeah. Go on, Albin. Rinse and repeat that it should be taking place in pseudo-4 space, but not in Euclidean 3 space that it's claimed to take place as Earth turns underneath to demonstrate Coriolis drift.
Okay, well, you already said it now, so I don't need to. Thanks. At least you understand now. But I really think that it's the new thing. No, look, nobody ever claimed there was Coriolis deviation within Euclidean space, right? It was a mistake. They forgot to mention that it only takes place in pseudo-Riemannian 4 space. Nobody remembered that for some reason. Maybe it's the Mandela effect that caused that.
You've just made this crap up. They do definitely claim Earth turning beneath things. That's the only way you can induce Coriolis deflection at the rate they claim we'll see it, and that's 15 degrees an hour of Earth turning underneath aeroplanes, shortening their flight times. That doesn't happen.
That's correct.
Nothing to do with 4 space.
Correct.
Yeah, but that only actually happens in pseudo-Riemannian 4 space, and they just forgot to mention that when they made the original claim.
They forgot, did they?
Word pseudo.
Okay, you remind them, Arwin. You can remind them.
Dude, I'm just going with this new system that Fight the Flat Earth is trying to attempt. I'm really digging
I wondered
it.
when he'd get a mention. I've heard on the grapevine that it was originally Paul who postulated the idea that in time, somebody in this little pond that they find themselves trapped here with us, the anti-flat earthers will suggest that the deflection we don't see is occurring in pseudo-Riemannian 4 space. That was a fairly substantial period of time ago as well. It wasn't recent that he made that prediction. But enough time has elapsed now for Fight the Flat Earth to claim exactly what Arwin is trying to put forth, which is that in the conceptual realm of fourth dimensional space-time, that's where we'll see Coriolis deflection. Well, Coriolis deflection is observable as you turn beneath things only, Arwin. So no.
Oh, hold on, by the way. I don't know if Fight the Flat Earth literally has claimed this, but he's already dragged pseudo-Riemannian 4 space within the claim of terrestrial refraction, which is even more silly. But if he's going to do that, then yeah, he might just as well migrate all the works towards it, right? I mean, pseudo-Riemannian 4 space is safe.
My bad. It might be that it was in regards to terrestrial refraction and unrelated to Coriolis. I forget. I'll have to have Paul clarify when he next gets here.
Right.
One of the definitions for pseudo is an intent to deceive.
Yeah, let's clear that up. Yes, it's claimed to be a pseudo-force. Coriolis is a pseudo-force. What does that mean? Okay, you're on a roundabout spinning. Your vantage point is from the turning reference frame. On a roundabout spinning. There are 2 other people not on the roundabout throwing a ball back and forth over the top of the roundabout. Now, what you observe is the ball curving. Not because it actually curves, but because you turn beneath it and the apparent trajectory is curved. Now, that is why when describing the curved trajectory it doesn't really take, that is the Coriolis force. The force that makes it appear to curve. Now, why is it a pseudo force? Because the ball doesn't curve. It only appears to curve, and the reason it appears to curve is because you are turning beneath it. So for this effect to take place, that's the pseudo force of Coriolis, then you must be turning beneath your observation of something not attached. In this case, a ball. Now, the ball is not curving. It's passed between the people not rotating. Straight. But seems to curve because, and only because, you're turning beneath. So that we're clear, the only way to have Coriolis effect is if you observe things as you turn beneath them. So to have Coriolis on Earth, you must observe things drifting as you turn beneath them. Therefore, the claim involves us turning beneath stuff not attached, like aeroplanes. That definitely doesn't happen, but must if their claim is true. Their claim that we turn beneath things to see Coriolis effect.
There is no Earth-based Coriolis. We don't feel it. We don't see it.
Correct. Coriolis is real.
I'm curious.
Earth-based isn't.
Doesn't
curious
the
if
Earth
there's anybody
have
that-
2 axial rotations? An X and a Y?
Got more than 2 if you expand it out beyond the solar system, if that's what you mean. Yes, it has several.
Yeah, that's why they claim, like the 23-degree tilt. That's why we have seasons, because once the Earth, every 6 months or so, changes its position around the sun, we are now the tilt, like the face of the Earth, the tilt is different. And that's why we get seasons.
Yeah, 66.6 degrees off horizontal. We're bowing as a spherical Earth towards the sun. We are, if we are heliocentrists, in a sun-centric religion. Heliocentric. Sun-centric. Wow. It's the essence.
And if you move closer to the oven while you're bowing, you actually get colder. Look at that.
That's nonsense.
That's what they say.
Absolutely.
We're further away in their summer, leaning in the northern hemisphere towards the sun, but at a greater distance. And in the heliocentric winter, we are tilted away, but closer to the sun.
Meh.
I can
It's
never
nonsense.
understand that.
It's just nonsense. That's what it is, because we're not
weirdest...
moving around the sun.
Well, to me, the weirdest part is that the Earth's supposed to be closer to the sun when it's spring and autumn everywhere. So how is it then like a more average in-between temperature and not just warmer everywhere?
I know, but what I do know is that it would be much more preferable to the heliocentric Western world viewpoint that we debate about the nonsense within the assumption that we are moving around the sun. We are a physical sphere in motion around something that we see moving in the sky. It's preposterous, it's absurd, but that is the essence of the very religion we're discussing. Heliocentric, helios being the sun, centric meaning at the centre. Any evidence of us...
Just to go into more nonsensical claims, right? I'm just thinking how funny it is. They'll tell you, oh, the sun, the Earth being 3 million miles closer to the sun, that doesn't matter. It's just about the tilt. But they will go out of their way to tell you something called gravity that comes from the supposed ball that's flying around above us that we call the moon. Supposedly that can affect the oceans on Earth.
Well, also, how would you prove that the Earth is tilted if you're not going off of just the seasons, let's just say nobody has even been to space. How will we prove that the Earth actually has that 23 or 66 degree axis tilt?
Oh, you'll need
I don't think that it would be possible.
I have the answer. We have the
unless you're
answer.
on.
We have the
Okay.
answer as of 2022. You'll need a couple of things. You'll need an R value to assert that you have an axial value to be rotating. And in order to acquire that R value to assert that you are tilted on an axis, you'll need a flat plane to get it.
Done and done.
Well, even if they want to go beyond that, I mean, I feel like they would still need a third person perspective. They would have to be looking on the outside onto Earth to even see that it would be tilted compared to the sun.
Well,
For it to be tilted, it would need to be curved first, right?
Yeah, it's first got to be a
If it's
sphere
tilted
with an
ball,
axis.
it would have to be a ball first. Sorry,
Exactly.
mate.
You've got to get past that first presupposition that it's a ball with an axis rotating, moving around the sun. That's many steps along that assumptive path. Well, first prove that you've got an axis. How do you do that? Well, prove you've got a radius, i.e. we're on a spherical shape. How do you do that? Well, how did they do that? Well, Al-Biruni acquired a height of a mountain off a flat plane, went up it, and then violated his first measurement of a height from a flat plane by claiming that the very straight, flat line he got the height of the mountain from was actually curving. That's one method. Or you can derive it by elevation angle measurements to Polaris, 1 degree every 69 nautical miles. Well, those degree measurements require a flat Earth to measure. Hey, Adam.
Afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon. That's going to be a good little interrupter for me to plug my GoFundMe that's going on right now. So as we're halfway through the show, I don't know how many people are watching. Let's have a look. Is it a decent number? I hope so. I can't see. God damn it. 90 people watching. Oh, a little bit less than usual. Oh, that's a shame. Oh well. There we go. Such is life. I'm doing a fundraiser currently. Let's just see if I refresh it, if anybody's actually contributed towards this in the meantime. No, they haven't. There's a link pinned in the live stream chat that's going by at the moment. If you are watching this live, or indeed if you're watching this on Friday on Nathan Oakley channel on the Re-Up. So this comes out a couple of days' time on my second channel. Subscribe today if you're not already to my second channel. But the uncut and after show, i.e. pre-show and after show, that's when this goes out, when it's pre-recorded. But there's a good chance this fundraiser will still be going then. So smash the share button if you didn't necessarily want to contribute to it. Hit it up on your Facebook or your Twitter feed, and that obviously helps, even if you didn't necessarily want to contribute financially. Or if indeed you're keen, as I am, to get Flatzoid streaming with a decent setup so we can hear exactly how fantastic his information is, then smash that donate button. Just reduce the tip amount, because GoFundMe get an amount anyway. They charge a fee for this service. So yeah, unless you specifically do want to tip GoFundMe, then leave the slider where it is. But otherwise, just stick your amount in, and hopefully we'll get well on the way within a few days to getting Flatzoid with a decent set of equipment rather than the absolute atrocious garbage that he's currently trying to do this with. Being in a catch-22, if you've got horrible equipment, people won't stick around long enough to hear that you need better equipment and support you in that endeavour. So I, as a sort of pay it forward, want to support other people around me who can't necessarily do this. And I'm privileged in the fact that I've got a lot of support. I've got a lot of subscribers, relatively speaking, in this little tiny corner of the internet we call Flat Earth. And as a thank you, if you like, to all of the support that I get, hopefully I can pay it forward in some small way by running this GoFundMe campaign on behalf of Flatzoid, who is unable to do so. I've also got Anthony Riley, who's one of the contributors in this particular instance, to go through and vet the second-hand parts that I've suggested at this stage that he uses and cobbles together in a horrible market to build a PC currently, so that he can do it for maybe $500 UK money. That said, with a few fees, it'll be maybe 550 after I've got the amount. Hopefully it'll get him about £500, whatever that translates to into funny foreign money over in South Africa, so that he can just go out and buy himself all of these little bits and bobs, put them together, slap a cooler on it, put a power lead in it, and then start streaming. So please share, please donate. That's Flatzoid streaming for a PC fundraiser that I'm running via GoFundMe. Thank you very much for your time. Should we carry on with housekeeping, or did anybody want to make a note in that regard in Flatzoid's favour? Hopefully so. Some nice comments would be good.
Well, I was wondering, isn't it just his mic? Because the visuals and all seem all just fine in his videos.
No,
So...
it's far more. No, there's a lot more to it than that.
Okay, I'll trust you on that.
He's got an external mic and a phone that he's managed to cobble the stream together with, and he can get it to work with Streamlabs via the phone, but he can't react to anything because the phone's doing one function only, and that will work so he can talk to his audience with this separate mic. The mic doesn't work on his PC, and his PC isn't powerful enough to run OBS and various other things. So he can't do. He's just in a position where he's just got old, out-of-date hardware. He's waiting on a new phone, which will come in the next couple of months, which you definitely need if you're going to be doing YouTubing. But you need that in addition to a decent PC to actually run a show from, and he hasn't got that. So, that's where I can help, and Anthony can help, and Anthony's giving up his time to source other bits and bobs that might be better than my suggested components and check compatibility, and, that's time. I unfortunately can't just bung him 500 quid. I'd love it if I could. But, if a few of the people who watch and want to see Flatzoid succeed go, I'll chuck him $3. If there's enough people chucking him a few bucks here and there, we'll get there in no time.
Yeah, big shout out to Flatzoid, man.
Yeah, Flatzoid's ace. I want to hear what he's saying. You know what I mean? It's a bit selfish on my part, really. Anywho, any evidence of a self-perpetuating molten iron core at the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth?
See question number 1.
Any evidence you can have gas pressure without the necessary antecedent of a container to press upon for all the fundies who believe that the sky is a vacuum?
The second law of thermodynamics doesn't apply to the globe model.
No, it does not. Because if it did, we'd all be dead because the gas would fill the space.
Anybody heard of anybody claiming surface tension when it comes to gas pressure stuff? I know it's funny, but I've heard that before. Like the argument against gas pressure without a container. They said, "Oh no, surface tension." Blah, blah,
Sorry, surface tension. Do they believe gas has a surface?
It would seem so, yes. I just wanted to know if anybody else heard that. I heard that the other day.
What is tension?
Sorry, I didn't get you.
What's tension? You say surface tension. We've got past the surface bit. Gas doesn't have a surface.
It's pressure. It's pressure, yeah.
But no more tension isn't pressure. Tension's something else.
Isn't it intermolecular bonds?
You've got it, Arwin. Arwin straight on it. So gas is unbonded. How can it be under tension?
Yeah, I don't subscribe to that bonded model. But yeah, it's definitely pressure in the way I see it.
Yeah, it's pretty sad. Arwin already summed it up. The heliocentric model just doesn't have the second law, natural law, applied to it. Because if the gas we were all breathing had a sky vacuum above it, then it would fill it, in line with entropy law. That's what gas does. It expands to fill whatever volume it's got to fill. And if the sky was that volume, a space for gas to fill, then gas would fill the space. We'd all be dead. Gas pressure would never have developed.
And who was it that said, if your theory goes against the second law of thermodynamics, there's no hope for you?
Arthur Eddington.
Eddington. Yep.
Yeah. Hey, can I butt in?
You can.
Can you pull up the 2 comments that Left Lane made yesterday? And I want to go over the second one, most important one.
The most important one, the one that didn't get read out by me yesterday.
Yes.
I can bring that up right away.
Let me know when it's up. Or maybe I could see when it's up since I'm in here.
Okay, it's up in the audience view. Shout out to Godzilla. He says, "Quick, someone throw Virus a lead jacket. His ship is sinking fast." Thanks for the super chat, Godzilla. It's up on screen now, Quantum Eraser.
He doesn't even know what a ship is. That's the problem. Okay, the second comment didn't get dealt with yesterday. I think it's profound. I hope everyone else does. It's very important. This comes off one of Nathan's shorts, not his shorts, what he wears.
We
but
like
Nathan's
short shorts.
One of his videos the other day had Left Lane on it. So Left Lane, the wrong lane, says it's a line of sight. Your line of sight is a straight line to the horizon in reference to being battered to death by elevation angles. That's what his response was. That's incorrect. That's why I said wrong. And a lot of these ballers appeal to this because they think they can get out of incoherent jail free card with their little, they try to bypass the horizontal in the definition. So let's see how he's wrong.
Can't you have claim it, John?
What?
Can't you say I've got an elevation angle of 0, and then
just hold on 1 second, Adam. Just there's a nuance that I'd missed as well. Just go ahead, QE.
Yeah, just let me finish it, and then you can bring up your elevation angle.
No, I'm taking the mic. That obviously.
Oh, thanks. I appreciate that. So I said, let's do it again. So Left Lane said, it's a line of sight. Your line of sight is a straight line to the horizon. More or less meaning that's how they get rid of the requirement for the horizontal plane in the definition. But let's read the definition of elevation angle in a second, because the line of sight in the description for an elevation angle is pertaining to the vertical. The horizontal plane is an automatic given. Listen to this. Elevation angle by radartutorial.eu. Listen closely. Elevation angle is the angle between the horizontal plane and the line of sight measured in the what? Vertical plane. You see how they separate the horizontal plane out from the line of sight? You crayon munchers.
The line to the horizon.
Wobbling.
The line to the horizon isn't the horizontal plane. You're utilizing something in your vision to establish what is already a given. That is the horizontal plane that you are standing on.
Yep. So your line of sight isn't a horizontal, you crayon munching window lickers. So you can't get out of incoherent jail free, right? You don't pay attention to detail. You always put the wrong emphasis on the wrong syllable, and I'm going to bust your ass in front of God and everyone. So I think that was emphasized good. Now you can take the piss at him.
Go ahead, Adam.
Love it. No, I mean, when I read it, it's like, really? Is that what you're doing? Is that how you're trying to reconcile this by a mismatch? The sarcastic point I was making was, but if you had a 0 elevation angle, that's the only time that could possibly make sense. Why you'd bother with a 0 elevation angle, I don't know, but that's the only time that contortion could make any sense. It's a misunderstanding, a misreading of what you're doing and what applies to what and why, most importantly.
Thanks for your attention to detail.
This subtlety will slip a few people by, but we'll reiterate it again and again. The horizontal plane that the observer is standing on is a given. How you establish that horizontal plane so you can measure the angle in the vertical plane is almost irrelevant. Using the horizon, using a bubble, who cares? The horizontal plane that the observer is standing on is a given.
Has nothing to do with your line of sight there, crayon munchers. You're finished. The elevation angle is the death dagger. I'll just prosecution rests. You're finished. You are finished. And you can't get an elevation angle from a curved baseline. under any circumstances. You tracking with me, sunshines? Thank you.
Yeah, you also can't get a tangent to a curve, so.
A tangent to a curve is redundant.
Yeah, we're not establishing a tangent to a curve. We're establishing a horizontal baseline.
Even with their dingleberry, the pretend mathematical misdirection that they do, it's still to obtain a horizontal plane. The tangent to the leading edge of a ball is still to create a level plane. Reality being in celestial navigation, that level plane represents the surface of which you're going to navigate upon. Not obviously with a dingleberry, but all of it is to have that match to the horizontal plane of which you're going to navigate on.
So I got a question because I've been sort of in and out the past, not in and out, Burger 10th. I've been sort of in and out over the past 4 or 5 days because, like I said, I got family coming in and we got a lot of stuff going on here. A little birdie told me that somebody invoked calculus to acquire an elevation angle from a curved adjacent. Are you fucking kidding me?
Language.
Sorry.
What they were, from what I could gather, John, part of McToon's trap to John was to show 2 curvy lines intersecting and saying, could you measure the angle there? And part of their ad hom attack of him, when he said, well, you can't, because within calculus, you actually then turn those curves into straight sections to be able to. Yeah, so you can, the integral of a curve, at the integral of a curve.
Wait, stop before we go down this road. Wait a second. You said 2 curvy lines intersecting. What the hell does that have to do with celestial navigation and the elevation angle?
Nothing. They were just trying to throw John off with an unrelated question to do with calculus, which is a way of solving. Yeah, exactly. It's a way of solving it within. It still really doesn't generate an angle. It just generates 2 points based on the gradient. 2 points based on the gradients, the average gradient of those lines at that point. For you to generate,
wait a second.
Let me finish. Just generate a theoretical angle, which isn't relevant to the angle on the line.
Oh, God, he's going to do it anyway. Okay, thanks. So, in a Declaration of Independence discussion, I'm going to bring up the GNP of the Netherlands. Is that kosher?
As Christmas.
No.
You're going to talk about the GNP of the Netherlands for us?
No.
Thanks. So it's non sequitur from the Black Lagoon. If they've Jedi mind tricked you over this, then you're a dumbass cracker.
Okay, don't milk it too much. Just labour the point. Labour the point.
Labor the point. Labor the point.
It was just a straight.
Not you, Adam. Hold on.
Not you, Adam. Oh, boy.
Can I just say something real quick?
No, just give it 2 seconds for a quick summary from QE. Then yes.
I think I already did my summary. It's a category error, right? Number one, it's non sequitur. Number two, it doesn't follow. It's really batshit insane to try to play that game. But see, they can do that. Why? Because the people that they're appealing to are dumber than they are. Right? And all of a sudden they say, like, calculus. None of those crayon munchers know what fucking calculus is. None of the people in their audience. So then they can Jedi mind trick them real easy. Well, let me throw up some fucking formulas up here. Right? That's how they do it. And then the other people, their audience, all they do is parrot the headline. Well, we get calculus. Really? Right down. And then, you know, they divert leaving the calculus there. The same old thing. All right. Is that good?
Are they?
Yeah, that's a good summary.
Are they using calculus to change? What are they using the calculus for?
Who cares? We're acquiring an elevation angle, and the flat Earth requirement for a baseline that's flat is a prerequisite. It doesn't matter what they're doing. It's nonsense. It's non sequitur. That's the point.
And
Right.
the
That's
point
what
of
I
me
was going to
asking.
say, because even if they were going to find a point on the curve, they would still need to make it flat first.
And they did.
Well, they apply calculus. They
You have to
do.
make it straight.
They use the Haberson. They use the Haberson formula to turn a flat plane into a curve.
Well, you attempted to explain that when they asked you about it, right? They tried to put you on the spot, and you got some way through explaining that, and then they cut you off, told you were wrong, and then about 5-10 minutes later, McToon did exactly what you were describing to them.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's all just flim-flam, as Kiwi's kind of saying it, and I wasn't agreeing with them. I was pointing out, and because I heard it, and I'm like, what are they claiming there when they first heard it? And how the hell, and this was my point, I think, the following day, how the hell, yes, you can do that in calculus, correct, okay? Understand what you're doing and what it's for. What the hell does that have to do with celestial navigation? I had no idea. It was,
Well, let me ask you
an
that.
intimidation tactic.
Let me put it
get
back to
John
you
on
as a
the
question,
back
Adam. When I'm performing celestial navigation, is step one perform calculus? What's step one?
Obtain an elevation angle, but there's no calculus. There's no need for calculus in celestial navigation because we are dealing with straight lines, of which we can obtain angles from. We're not dealing
Step
with
one,
curves.
measure an angle. That's two straight lines.
Yes. So we don't need calculus. It's not required because we've got straight lines, and that's what I was saying. It was just such an odd thing. But I was asking them to justify why they felt that had some relevance to the topic that was at hand.
They might have been just trying it out, just throwing it out there, see if it sticks, see if it gets us talking about it,
Have you ever
Like,
been
hey.
shocked? Have you ever been shocked by stupidity?
Yeah.
Frequently.
Daily.
Yes.
Multiple times.
Shout out to Joe Volkhammer. I hope I'm saying your name right. Probably not. Don't forget to like and support the show, guys. Well, thank you very much. Really appreciate your support, Joe. Thank you very much indeed.
All I did was make the statement that you need two straight lines to make an angle meeting at a vertices. And
And they were like, nah, calculus.
yeah.
Yeah, basically.
It was no calculus, and if you can't do it, that proves you're a liar about the qualifications you've got. Nearer that, wasn't it?
Exactly.
That checks out.
They're repositioning the actual process, which is what it is, in terms of measuring an angle in the vertical after establishing your horizontal, because that's what an angle is. Beyond that point, it's all nonsense. It's all subterfuge. It's all hyperbole, because they've already proven Earth's flat. So what are they going to do? Exactly as just detailed. If you can't do our side task, then you're a liar. And you represent celestial navigation that we're arguing with. It's like, John doesn't represent celestial navigation. It just is what it is.
There was a point that came up in the chat towards the end last night. We chatted about a lot of stuff. But there was a point that I responded to in terms of what John had said. I'm just scrolling back to it. There it is. Yeah. So this is the message John gets. I'll check. Hold on. And it gets a message back saying, right, all right, time's up. I've given you set number one, and then all the details for the little challenge follow. But from what I was told, and from my understanding of the rules, what would happen is, if the flat earther accepted the challenge, he would then choose which set he wanted. So if John had accepted the challenge, part of the method of accepting the challenge is to choose the set. I would say what we've got here is a confirmation that John hasn't accepted the challenge by the simple fact that they have said, your time's up, and have allotted him the set. Okay, secondary proof that they are misrepresenting the truth about what was agreed and what wasn't.
Are they still stuck on saying that I accepted their challenge when they accepted my challenge?
Yeah. Well, I say that whole text. All right, time's up. I've given you set number 1. That's confirmation you didn't accept the challenge, because the challenge was for you to accept and choose a set. They've just said, no, you're having this. Right.
I think because I didn't refuse the challenge directly to them, they think that I accepted it like some kind of, ridiculous artard.
But who cares if you did? So the challenge put forward, upon delivery of a flat Earth proof within the challenge, you conceded that Ruhiv had done a perfectly adequate job of proving Earth is flat with elevation angle measurements. So why did it need to be done again? Oh, because the moderator's challenge... Is that an oxymoron? The moderator's challenge needed to be fulfilled, correct?
No, it's because it's a neutral outcome platform.
Is that something normal? That moderators are telling you that you're a liar and that you're, what? Presumably worthy of people going after your career because you're a liar in the job that you're doing? I think that was the general inference. That's the moderator doing that because you didn't fulfill his challenge that was demanded upon you when you arranged with a third party to debate on his neutral channel. You didn't fulfill the moderator's challenge.
I thought we'd settled that. It's not a neutral channel. It's a neutral outcome platform. Where the best they can get from the way they set things up is a neutral outcome. Not neutral as in it's a fair to both parties.
They're shooting for a draw, and they're shooting for a draw really fast.
I don't think so. I think they saw a draw in discrediting you personally. That's not a draw. Ruhiv still used flat Earth elevation angle measurements in acquiring his fix, did he not?
Loss when I pointed it out, and it angered them. That's why they attacked me.
Right. So you think after you win, them attacking you personally is a neutral outcome for them? No. They lost when they measured and proved a flat Earth with their elevation angle measurements in order to acquire the fix from their process that they used. It needed a flat Earth to do it, and they used it. A flat Earth, that is. Ruhiv. Kudos. Good job. Elevation angle measurements in your fix acquisition proved Earth is flat. Well done. Good job.
I would concede they didn't achieve a neutral outcome if you do actually sit and listen. But I was saying the point of the moderator is to try and get that place to what appears to be the layman to a neutral outcome. And as John said, when QE was saying, they're putting arguments that are way above the level of their audience. So when presented, like with the calculus bit, their average listener would think that they're being told the truth by these guys, that it's got some relevance to this. That's how they try to achieve the neutral outcome, with their moderator on side. But that's different to them achieving it. But that is the purpose of the moderator in those formats, I can see, is to poison the well and ensure that the less informed maybe believe some of the rhetoric that was put at John. Like I say, with the calculus was a great example.
I think these numpties know, or at least some of them know, that their audience is even more numpty-ish than they are, right? So I think they put these little things out. Like, it's the same thing with refraction, right? After the Black Swan, how many people just use the word refraction as an argument in itself, not knowing what it is, not caring what it is, just saying, oh, but refraction. That's why that horizon's not at 1.22 miles away, right? So I think a lot of them know that their audiences who aren't going to get into the same debate that they are, they just need them to have an excuse, a reason, right? An argument, a one-word argument. Refraction, gravity, right? So this is a new one. Calculus. It's nonsense.
I wonder whether they throw it out there as well, Chuck, to see if
sorry
we
to
do
interrupt you, Adam.
respond.
Go ahead.
I'm going to say this. It reminds me of the the vertices thing where they bring it in, think they've got a point, and if it's left unchallenged, they will use it. Yeah. So I wonder whether they bring these things in just to test whether we know what we're on about. And that's why I brought it up the next day. You know, what are you on about, guys, quoting these things? But I wonder if these things don't get challenged, whether we would have heard it popping up maybe in the Discord being thrown at us, like when they'd clearly sat down and read about vertices, you know what I mean, for in terms of an angle, and you can have a curved vertice, you know, you're not getting an angle from it. Yeah, those little nuances where they tend to come in, I think that's probably part of their aim as well. Have they got something that they can use?
They're on the search for the next gotcha, right? Because that's all they want. That's all they got, right? I mean, they don't even have that, but that's the only thing that they can bring, because there's no argument, and they know that. So the only thing they could do is appeal to their audience and say, "Look, I said a word that flat earther can't argue against, so we've won."
Okay, that's the second time it's happened, so I'm going to have to interrupt you. I was going to do it to Adam, but I'm going to do it to you now. No, because in this instance, when you paraphrase it as the flat earther comes back with, well, that's not the case here. This isn't us making a claim about how we could measure Earth as a flat baseline. That's not us making that claim. That is the method of celestial navigation. So this is different. What's currently happening is the anti-flat earthers / globe heretics are disputing what actually takes place in celestial navigation. It's not disputing us. So when they say, well, okay, how are we going to do this process called celestial navigation? Step 1, calculus. Citation, please. No, step 1, measure angle. You're going to need a flat earth for that. That's it. That's the end of the argument.
But that's the point. But that's my point, right? They've already got the okie doke in there. Like, what didn't they supposedly provide John with angles already? Right? Where'd you get those angles? Right? So they provided him with the angles to do something with afterwards, forgetting that you need something to get those angle measurements. What do you need? Flat plane. But let's ignore that because we've already got them. Right? So let's just keep the flat earther talking about some other nonsense after whistling past the graveyard, like John likes to say, right? After we've already got the angles off a flat plane. They've always got that okie doke in their back pocket, and they're just looking for the next one.
Hey Nathan, I hate to interrupt the discussion. Before you go, make sure you shout out the profound debate yesterday that I didn't know was quite profound.
Sure. Are You South African versus Quantum Eraser was put out yesterday on Quantum Eraser's YouTube channel. Little did we know that it was up his sleeve for a good few months before putting it out to the public, waiting for a time that he couldn't go live on a Tuesday just to keep his scheduled slot. But it was a great little clip, and I'll put out a shorts video with a link to it. If you want to find it on my channel, just go to the videos section and shorts. I can't remember what I think I just called it "What is a Ballbuster?" or just "Ballbuster?" or something like that. Because I thought it summed up nicely what we represent as ballbusters. Hope you agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not here to convert you. We're here to point out the hypocrisy and lies that come from a heliocentric religion that you've been born into without realising. Now, whether or not you accept us pointing out the contradictions and lies that have come from many people's mouths here on this very show, that's up to you. I don't care if you're a flat earther afterwards. I don't care. What's that you say? You're not converted? I don't know what you'd be converting to, and I don't care. I'm just going to go and eat my dinner. Not really concerned with what you're doing now. You are maybe concerned deeply. And if you are, then good for you. Maybe you'll find out the truth. Maybe you'll let me know if it's something I don't already. But it doesn't alter the fact that we're not here to convert anybody. We're not evangelising about flat earth. We're pointing out where you've been lied to, how you've been lied, and then it's up to you to move on from there. That was QE's sentiment summed up in a much more concise way than I, whilst in debate, which is also quite awesome, and then trimmed into a shorts video, which you can link to find it on the Quantum Eraser YouTube channel. So I think it's called "What is a Ballbuster?" or something to the words to that effect. I'm going to do one last plug for the fundraiser that I'm currently running on behalf of Flatzoid. So Flatzoid's got a terrible setup, and I'm hoping to raise a few quid just to get him a decent streaming PC. So if you did want to support this campaign, smash the donate now button, make sure you reduce the tip amount down to 0, and just add how much you want to actually support the campaign by, or if indeed you didn't necessarily have the cash to support this campaign, then smash the share button. I'll stick a link in the live stream chat as this show's rounding out, and I ask everyone to stay tuned if they're watching after the fact on the premiering stream, but smash that link. Hopefully we can raise him a few quid to get him a decent PC, and we can all enjoy the dulcet tones of Flatzoid without crackling and horribleness while he's doing so. So please support that campaign. Massive thank you to the people who've already done so. And with that, I'm going to say a huge, massive, enormous thank you first and foremost to both Discord and G+ panels for making today's live show possible. If you are watching this on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley premiering streams, then stay tuned as there will be an after show to follow. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
What a lovely day!